Welcome everyone to everyone's favorite podcast about Gemini movies. I'm your host Alice Lovato and my co-host.
A monkey. No, I'm not a monkey. I'm Ludovico.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Famous monkey like Ludovico here.
I'm a monkey trainer.
Yeah. So
I can program them.
So before we go ahead into our first segment that has nothing to do with the things we watch for the podcast, we also say, hey, what do we like did we like the movies this month? I will start to say quickly. I think they're both solid enough. I don't have a lot actually to say about them. They're just like solid enough, kind of Hollow-ish, like Killer Monkey movies. If you like Hollow, like check them out. If you like Monkey, check them out. I think they're decent. I don't actually have a lot to say. Just they're decent.
Yeah, I'm on a similar boat. I got stuff to say about them for sure. Like there's some interesting stuff happening in terms of like what the genre is and like what the directors are doing and etc. etc. But we're gonna get into detail later. Let's just get into our show and tell segment for this month.
Yeah, so I will start. I've been watching. This is about the so-called Cruelty, but I've been watching a lot of Chinese detective dramas recently, just for the head of it, and I've been saying, I've been very much enjoying it. It's always like just a genre thing. It's always very enjoyable when you watch a thing from another culture that's like something you haven't really consumed before, and just see the differences in how like TV productions done in various countries. Like in China, like costume drama is a base point, or like the various like Chinese I think what the term is like. Do they use the term empires or like it's like the Ming
Dynasties?
Yeah, dynasties. The various Chinese dynasties. Various genres, and I've been watching a lot of the detective ones, and they're very enjoyable. Like a lot of them are like 40 minutes, so some cases of the week, some not. Just very much enjoyable. So I've been watching Slow the Ming, which is a detective show. Based, if I remember, on a Chinese like boys love novel or comic. Basically about this Beijing detective has to solve a murder of a noble that dies and has to team up with like a general guy. It's very guy for like a detective show, for like a detective drama. So this was produced by Zaki San, noted homophobe, produced the Boys Lab adaptation. I think he did not have a lot of input, but I'll say the only thing he seems like he had input is like. There's like a lot of fight scenes in like this TV detective drama that are genuinely well choreographed. Like a lot of the book,
that makes sense.
Like a lot of the book episodes will be like this squat intrigue mystery drama of like, oh, we need to solve the murder. Like a lot of shit is happening in the court. Sometimes maybe a side case. But then it will go into like very much like kung fu like aesthetics of like old school Zaki-san like Hong Kong action movie fights, and it's like genuinely interesting because you don't really see that in a lot of like American or Western TV. Like this like kind of very talky like historical dramas that also have a lot of action in between it.
I think in general, like the historical detective story is something China seems way more invested in.
Yeah, there's like a lot of context I don't know specifically because like in several PL dramas are very much there, but like they're very popular and there's like a lot of flavors in them. I think Sort of Ming is just one of the better ones I've watched. Like I've watched also So-Called Action Detective, which also very solid. Like Sort of Ming has like the characters have charisma, the action's pretty good, the overall mission is very interesting. It's just a very fun show. Like I'll say this, a lot of Chinese like TV that are with a lot of these historical dramas tend to be like 40 minutes, and like that's the kind of the sweet spot. Because it tend to be like 40 minutes, 40 episodes, so it's just like you can actually just binge them very much well. It's not that much, not like an hour. It's like not that even long an episode length. So you just kind of watch a couple episodes with the watch. And not that I'd say just like a very enjoyable with the show. I recommend watching it, and also just watching more like Chinese television. It's actually pretty good. I might actually next episode I might actually talk about this, but I'm probably gonna start soon the. I think it's 90s. There's a 90s adaptation of One Master of the Three Kingdoms by Chinese TV that I've heard really good things about and just finished fan translation recently. Yeah, good show.
Nice. So, can you guess what I'm going to talk about?
What are you going to talk about? Fighting games?
No, it's not going to be a piece of media.
You met the mafioso.
That would be hilarious, but also I did that in the past. Um, no, I'm going to talk about the International Anarchist Meetup in Saint-Imier.
Wow.
I'm just going to share some highlights because it was very revealing to me, both in like the, let's say, strengths and weaknesses of anarchist organizing. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
So overall, it was very positive for me, the event. Like the atmosphere was very good. People were very nice. And there was a lot of like international exchange happening between like different people. That was very interesting. But also people just let's say the train company really lost their shit once people started like going over the tracks at points where it's not allowed. Mm-hmm. They were just walking over the tracks, and that's like very much a no-go in Switzerland.
Wow.
So they overreacted, and they fined the organizers for like multiple thousand Swiss francs. Mm-hmm. And also they stopped like the train continuing from Saint-Imier. So for like 5 days, the whole train system was like replaced by buses after this stop.
Wow.
So that's already like the kind of chaotic energy that was at that whole event.
Yeah.
I really hope it's gonna improve another year, because like there was a lot of organizational mishaps happening. Very long lines at food takeout, and parking space being just like exploding, and like multiple conflicts between like different organizing parties that led to a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But, overall, it was funny and nice.
Okay.
I learned a bunch of stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you an important question about meeting specific. If you met a specific kind of anarchist, did you met an egoist? Did you find the spokers?
I didn't see any like Sterner badges or like symbols.
Yeah.
If I talk to an egoist, they didn't like clarify they're an egoist.
Okay, last one for start. What about the narco-primitivist? Probably not.
None that I know of.
Yeah, they're on the Zang somewhere, not in the Zang, the forest.
There were probably some there. I met one person who just slept in the forest alone.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
That's pretty close.
That's primitivist. Yeah. Anyway,
the thing is, they were also cute, so I can't really.
Yeah. Listen.
I can't really dunk on them.
Listen, sometimes you meet a cute person. That's a bit weird. It's life. Anyway.
Yeah, that's just life.
Yeah. Anyway, let's start. Let's start talking about some cinema. The kino. Okay.
Yeah, Monkeys and Apes. Let's.
We normally do backstory. Like I did not find a lot of resources. There was like a documentary about monkey science that I wanted to watch, but it seemed like they were the only one whipped it, so I don't actually know a lot about the production of both movies. But I know more about the production of Link. The director was like this Hitchcock fanatic that we love Hitchcock, so like his entire career is built on like copying Hitchcock, and he like basically wanted to make like a gothic drama Hitchcock style, but like with the monkey. There's a specific thing from like one of the interviews that I think you saw where like the guy was like, "No, it needs to be a real monkey, no guy in suit," and I'm like, "Great, I love it."
Yeah, it was very important for him. I also think that this is kind of his blank check movie after Psycho 2, directing Psycho 2, and he kind of, it's not a bad movie, but like commercially, because of the distribution, like. During filming, the rights changed like from one studio to Canon, and Canon just absolutely blew the distribution of the movie, so this flopped hard.
Yeah, I saw a very fun thing with the film. The main monkey in this is a chimpanzee played by an orangutan for some reason.
Yeah, they just wanted a bigger monkey than like any trained chimpanzee that like the guy who had the animals had. And this is the same guy that had the birds for Hitchcock's The Birds,
Yeah.
The animal trainer.
Yeah, let me remind everyone there's a lot of reasons, very reasonable reasons for a lot of people not wanting to engage with Hitchcock. So for those who aren't familiar, The Birds was like an infamous production for various reasons, including sexism. If I remember, there's like a lot of abusive actors, but also the fucking boards hurt people. Those are like...
Yeah, it's just funny that like you hear from a set that like, yeah, this actress got repeatedly attacked by birds on purpose, and then the next director is like, I need this animal trainer.
Yeah,
I think he does good work.
I need to get...
And to be honest, I think it wasn't the animal trainer's fault. It was Hitchcock being just a fucked up guy.
Yeah, with Monkey Signs, like I said, there's not a lot of production thing. Like, do you find anything else about the production of Monkey Signs?
I just know that, like, from what it sounds like, this was right after Romero stopped working with the studio that produced, like, the Off the Dead movies with him.
Yeah, was this?
And then suddenly he had, like deals to make movies for, like, 5 or 4 different studios, and, like, including some big-name adaptations. Like, he was set to adapt a Stephen King, like, Bachman book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did that as that guy. And the Dark Half.
It just never materialized. Like, that movie never got made.
No, he adapted the Dark Half.
Yeah, but, like, it never got made into a movie.
It got made as a movie, actually. It's a Dark Half movie.
No, I looked it up, and it's not directed by Romero.
Wait, isn't that? I could swear.
The Romero version never got made.
I could swear. Anyway, that later we discuss this. But anyway.
The other one was like a War of the Worlds adaptation that also never got made. So that's very interesting. Like, I think he was juggling way too many projects at the time. And then in post-production, like, the studio interference basically cut this movie heavily down. Mm-hmm. And you can really tell this. We're going to go into this when we talk about the plot. But, like, there's just a bunch of plot points that never resolve. Yeah. There's just characters that suddenly disappear.
Yeah, also working with the monkey was not the best time, from what I understand. They had to...
I heard it was okay. Yeah. It just took a lot of time.
They also had to get Tom Savini, like, known gauze effect guy, to, like, make, like, a robot monkey, basically.
Yeah, for some of the, like, stuff that a monkey should do, like wield a scalpel.
Yeah, don't let the fucking monkey wield a scalpel.
Don't give a knife to a real monkey.
It's like that way of not give a knife to a quaver.
Yeah.
Do we have, not to prolong this segment too much, but do we have anything to say about, because normally do cultural context, I don't know, is there cultural context about monkey killer movies? I don't think
I mean, like it's the 80s. I think people know the 80s.
Yeah.
One of these movies is British, the other is American, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So we have Thatcherism running parallel to Reaganism.
Yeah, I don't think there's like...
And one of these movies does like deal with disability, so I think there's like a bit of cultural context.
Yeah, I feel like... I'm going to ask you a question very quickly. This is the last question before I move to another segment. I guess, is there anything in particular about this being... Like, in the 80s, there was not, like, a killer monkey wave, but, like... I guess the thing is, like, there were apes because of the whole, like... Because of, like, there being some, like, the most, like, human-looking animals always get... they always get used in movies a lot, specific horror.
It's hard to tell because, like, I think both of these movies, like, underperformed.
Yeah. No, but
they weren't well received. I think there was, like, no big craving for this kind of movie because, like, one of them is basically, like, a scientific thriller.
Yeah. No, was this...
And those really took off in the 90s.
No, was this...
So I think this was ahead of the curve.
I was just saying in general, like, the 60s and 70s, like, we had plenty of the apes and things. We had, like... Apes do get used in movies a lot, but that's just like animals get used.
Yeah, I think actually the 80s were like a drought for this kind of movie.
Yeah, like in general, like not to, like again, we're gonna very quickly as I say, the 80s was weird because a lot of the horror slog there was a lot of 80s horror slog, but the middle budget horror slog was dying. So it went to independent producers or like studios, you know?
Yeah. Also, the slasher was like the hot thing, and most slasher movies don't have like an animal slasher.
Yeah, like, I won't talk about this too much, because I say, like, people weren't making like a lot of Hitchcock homages in the 80s. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like we should go ahead to talk more about this, like, to the other segments.
Yeah, let's go to cast and acting for Link.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna read off some names here, as is tradition. We got Terrence Stamp as Dr. Stephen Phillip, Elizabeth Shue as Jane Chase, Stephen Finch as David, Richard Garnett as Dennis, David O'Hara as Tom, Kevin Lloyd as Bailey, and then I'm just gonna skip ahead to the animal actors. We got Jet the chimpanzee as Imp the chimp, and we got Locke the orangutan as Link. So that's our cast.
I think the acting is decent enough. Like, it's this goes ahead into like this being a Hitchcock homage. The acting feels like it. Like, the best way to describe it is it feels very much like a 70s Hammer movie or stuff like that. It's a bit much more like a stuff like gothic aesthetic that you would see in like the 70s, 60s. Like, it's very much more stuffy, more like resorbed compared to like a later on of like, this is technically not a horror movie even, but like a lot of like the 80s thrillers and like horror movies and etc. etc. Like, it feels much more like stuffy. I think it's all solid there. So it's not Terrence Stamp as like the scientist guy who like just goes sometimes.
He's unlikable in this, but he does it well.
Yeah. The lead woman just solid. I like her. It's just decent. I don't actually have a lot to say. Like,
yeah, she showed up in a bunch of martial arts movies, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, there's not a lot to say. The cast is honestly kind of solid. Like, it's just doing like kind of very much like a very much more stuff. Like, it feels very much in the acting more like a 70s like British horror thing.
Yeah, I wanted to say the same. This feels a lot like a 70s movie.
Like, it feels like I'm watching like Witch Finals Animal, or like even Wicker Man, you know. Even if that's technically more 60s, but like
yeah.
How do you like the orangutan, the ape acting?
I think the orangutan is pretty good.
It's like somewhat the animal acts somewhat well.
It's not selling me on being a chimp, but it's selling me on like being smart in some scenes.
Yeah.
You know, it like you can like interpret some stuff into the performance of the monkey, of the ape.
I don't know a lot about animal acting or like how animal handling works in cinema. I know it's fucking always the fucking most bad animal cruelty shit ever, but like, I don't know actually what they did to the orangutan. At the same time, I think it's like the orangutan does a lot of solid job. It's kind of funny. It's kind of, but like, it works.
I think they the director talks shortly about like how they worked with the animals, and from what it sounds, you can just program them more or less to do like a 40-second sequence. But the problem is they like lose interest in doing multiple takes.
Yeah.
So they just get bored of doing the same shit over and over again after a while.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it, I think, pretty hard to do.
Yeah. But I think it works. Like, Link is like a funny idea of a movie that I think mostly works. I think there's some parts where like the orangutan is like, where Link is just like, you know, like just going around chasing people that actually are pretty scary, like at least atmospheric. Like, for a movie with animal acting, like, I fucking seen Wall and like, it's better than Wall, which is not a lot, but hey.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the orangutan ever like hurt the actors, so that's a good thing. I would say.
The other two monkeys. What do you think of the other two monkeys?
I mean, they're good.
They're decent, yeah.
I think Elizabeth Shane, or how she's called, she really carries the movie because she's like the center point.
Yeah.
Like, she's the audience surrogate for most of it.
Yeah.
and she does a really good job.
I think she's doing a good job. Yeah, of like being like the gothic horror, like this because this is very gothic horror the same way it's cocky and like the lady that appears in the Wooloo Bears with like the creepy dog and like enters this unknown world. It works decently. She's very much like a good artist that it has good reactions and like she's good. I like it. Also sets up to like the three guys. That's so up in the middle of the
Yeah, then just get murdered except for one.
Yeah. Iconic people. Very Scottish.
Okay.
Monkey Signs.
Monkey Shines. I'm gonna read off the cast again. Jason Beege as Alan Mann, John Pankow as Geoffrey Fisher, Kate McNeil as Melanie Parker, Joyce Van Patten as Dorothy Mann, Christine Forrest, Marianne Hodge, Stephen Root as Dean Burbage, and Stanley Tucci as Dr. John White.
Is it the Mike Man? Like this? No, that's.
He's the other doctor. I think they like aged him up or something because I didn't recognize him in the movie.
Noted icon, Stanley Tucci, yeah.
Yeah, and of course we got Boo, the Chaputin monkey, Boo as Ella.
Okay, I think that getting this is sort of. I think it's like. It's going for like a different thing because the novel this is adapted from is like more of like a dark comedy thing and like there's parts where like they go very over the top on purpose to insinuate like the dark irony of this sort specifically like there's some parts where like the main protagonist guy is losing it. That's where pretty much he on purpose goes over the top. Like that's interesting.
Yeah, it's also more melodramatic.
Yeah, it's very melodramatic. It's very much like putting into everyone saying emotions and stuff. I think it's solid what it's doing. I think I never read a lot about how Romero had interaction with actors, but I feel like Romero was always good at like getting actors to do what he wanted to do. Like
yeah,
I feel like he was very much good at like just getting people to do like good and like balls and like stuff like that.
Yeah, I really gotta shout out John Pankow because he like plays a real reanimator style researcher.
Yeah, the researcher guy
who just never sleeps and is totally out of it.
Yeah, the researcher guy is so fucking good. It's like that comedy the movie mostly works for me because he's so fucking reanimator like reanimator like and it filled so many like very much an asshole cat in a way that's like very much is very funny to me.
Yeah,
I think it's very good. Like also sets up the protagonist Martha. She's also kind of funny.
Yeah. I think she's Christine. Wait, who's Alan Mann? Oh, Joyce Van Patten, I think.
Yeah,
is the mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty good. Like, she sells like the mother that's overprotective.
Yeah, it's very much like it's going for like this heightened like melodramatic like comedy where everyone's like kind of just silly and the story itself. And I think all the actors do like a genuinely good job with like portraying that stuff and like being intensely silly people, but in their most entertaining way. What about the monkey though? How do you rate the monkey?
What about the monkey, though? The monkey's really good.
Yeah.
I think the monkey actually really sells it. Like, you can really believe that the monkey has like a really close relationship to Alan Mann, the main character, who's like paraplegic.
Yeah, like it's very interesting, specifically during the last part of the movie, like Alan's like just trying to like manipulate the monkey so he can defeat it. It's very
there's a really good cat and mouse game at the end.
They very much use the monkey very well, like putting this is like this weird obsessive monkey. It's the Wonderland monkey.
I think that's all for acting, right?
Yeah, I think it's solid. That's not that side. It's just both solid acting movies. Okay, next thing is
the plot of Link.
Yeah, So, there's a mad scientist, experiments with monkeys, goes bad.
Yeah. That's both of these movies really have some parallels and parts,
Uh,
and both of them try to make monkeys smarter, and it both times goes really wrong.
I guess we'll talk about this more in the themes, but Link sells itself as like this scientific, like very smart Twitter thing that goes about weird science. It's not a weird science movie at all. It's
No, it definitely comes out as a bit pretentious, like trying to be smarter than it actually is. And I read some analysis of it that like goes very much into like Freudian psychology and stuff, because of course the director is a giant Hitchcock head, so of course it's gonna be full of like Freudian symbology, you know. And from that angle, yeah, there's a lot of to unpack there, but also the only thing it comes out of at the end is like, wow, humans are almost like monkeys, and monkeys are almost like
yeah,
humans.
the plot, like we're talking more about this on themes, but the plot is very like for a movie that sells itself on like being deep thought. It's very much just like a very like it's very much like a very standard like gothic thing, like mad scientist gothic thing, like. Uh,
Yeah, of like playing with nature too much, and then it goes
I've
wrong.
seen I've seen the director. I think in one of the interviews, the director compared this to Zainel. Are you familiar with Zainel, Ludo?
Not really.
Zainel is like it's like very much contemplation, like Zayn Austen stuff, but it's much more of a gothic thing. Like this lady goes to like a weird guy's like monster and like falls in love with him.
Oh yeah, yeah, Jane Eyre. I think that's that Lupin spin-off goes very much into thematic stuff from that.
Yeah, yeah. The physical one, yeah. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, this is very much playing into that Xenia stuff. Like woman goes to mad science, like mysterious person's house on the English county field, like the UK county field. I think this maybe it's out in like Scotland or something. But goes and bad like gothic horror, like foreboding happens, and like
Yeah, there's also some Frankenstein in there.
yeah, it plays with that. But normally there's like it has that romance aspect from a lot of like those gothic horror things, but like instead of a monster or a human, it's like a honey monkey played by a look.
Yeah, it's kind of a horny monkey.
Like I think it works as like what it's doing. Honestly, like I am a gothic horror head. I like that form of like not even just gothic stuff, like just that form of like that mysterious like UK like romance stuff. So like I think this working like it very much thinks it's much more than it is. Like as an actual plot thing, it goes from like A to C. It's kind of slow, but when it gets going, it becomes very much like that stuff. And it gets going in the last half really well, I think. Because
Yeah, I had the same like structural criticism that like the start is very much like hokey, funny, and slow, and then it becomes like more serious, more of like a cat and mouse game towards the
yeah,
end.
yeah, I think when it becomes much more cat and mouse, it really plays into its strength of like being an Hitchcock romance, because you just see
Yeah,
this lady running away from this fucking killer monkey, honey killer monkey, and it's just
yeah, and they're constantly trying to outsmart each other.
and it works. Honestly, it's actually this is much more later, but the cinematography and the scenes away is really fucking good though. But yeah, I think it starts very slow. I think this plot is also simple, but when it becomes like much, much like a cat and mouse thing, I
Yeah,
think it becomes very solid. Monkey Signs?
I think we also theorized that the strength stand in JoJo Part 3 might well be inspired by this
Oh
movie.
yeah, it feels like it. Like you have said, he was a bunch of hollow stalker.
And there is like a scene of the horny monkey watching the main character
Yeah,
shower
yeah.
naked. And that's like mirrored in the strength episode.
I was just ask you one thing. What the fuck is up with that opening scene? Where the monkey's just
Oh,
like at like a girl's room, or like
I think the way it got interpreted in one of the like reviews was like that it's a bunch of like tone setting of like the themes that are gonna happen in the movie.
yeah, I guess makes sense.
Like animals being like basically motivated by sex and food,
Yeah.
and like the humans, like the parents, are watching TV and are distracted and are watching this like monkey in a suit that's like contrasting the real monkey that's gonna show up later. It's all this stuff, you know. It is directed and like thought through.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't really, to a modern audience, it doesn't read as smart as like it might have in the 70s or 80s.
Monkey signs.
Monkey shines.
Now you give your take. What's the plot of Monkey
Okay.
Signs, Ludo?
So, guy gets paraplegic. He gets a helper monkey. Monkey is like injected with human. What is it? Frigging spinal cord juice or brain juice, and then gets way too smart, and then telepathic connection between the paraplegic and the monkey. So when he gets angry at somebody, the monkey goes kill that person. Then he realizes that, is guilt tripped, and then he murders the frigging monkey by biting it in the fucking neck and shaking it like an animal.
So this is very interesting because the plot sounds very schlocky, but it's an adaptation of like a British novel, and like it feels very much like a novel adaptation. It's a very kind of slow thing. A lot of it is like setting up. A lot of it is like very melodramatic, like comedy, but that's setting up stuff for later on. Like the relationship between the main guy and the monkey, the various like side characters. A lot of things you can notice, like Luda said earlier, like well, very obvious there's a lot of cut stuff because a lot of stuff doesn't actually resolve.
Yeah, there's a guy, the like higher scientist that pressures John Panko's character in like rushing his research as much as possible. And he just disappears after like one scene.
Yeah, he's just gone.
He's just never seen again.
He's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like there's the whole subplot with like the person that operated on the main character being like a hack who like injured his spinal cord on purpose or something. Mm-hmm. And that's also never really properly resolved, I feel.
Yeah. But I feel like as a plot, it's also pretty simple, but it's very much because it's focusing very much more like on the basic character interactions, like the basic little character moments in comedy, like drama.
Yeah, it's very much around character relationships.
Yeah, I think it works as part of the plot. Like it's also kind of slow like Link, but when it gets going, like when it actually ends up introducing everything and setting up everything, it becomes very good. I feel like doing this like cat and mouse between not a cat and mouse thing between like the main guy and the monkey, and that's a lot of that comedy and like a lot of like.
Yeah, both of these movies end with a human having to outsmart an ape or a monkey.
Yeah, I feel like it's like there's not. I don't feel like in the plot proper there's a lot to talk about. I feel like it does well in using the plot as a way for the best character moments, you know? Like, scene X happens where, like, characters will do attack or do X thing, then sets up thing, etc., you know? Basic storytelling.
The narrative structure and, like, it plays off each other. The characters play off each other very well.
Yeah, that works. Do you have a lot to say about the plot, then?
It just gets really good once there's fucking monkey telepathy.
Yeah, that's...
Like, that's kind of the, like, almost like Stephen King, like, you know, switch into the supernatural or into, like, sci-fi that this movie really needed for that extra spice.
Yeah, they have telepathy, and when the telepathy stuff gets going, it's so fucking funny and great. Like fucking telepathy.
Yeah, he can basically like astral project into the monkey and see what it's doing and shit.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's great.
Teams. Link. Abe's smart, but not as smart as humans.
So Link is trying, like I said, it's trying to be like this. Like I think the guy called like naturalistic thrill or something about humanity and science, and like it's not that. Like I said, It's
Yeah.
very pretentious. It's really fucking pretentious. Like he thinks it's
Yeah, because the only character that like actively talks about that stuff is the
who
professor.
dies like halfway to the movie.
Yeah, he's in the after the first third, I think he's just dead.
Yeah, and like
And at the end, like his new book that he was working on just gets burned.
yeah,
So I don't know. It's probably different in the novel, but like we never find out what his big thesis was.
yeah, it feels
We never get like the statement on like what exactly he was trying to prove or find out, except that like monkeys can be like smart or smarter than
I will
humans.
say this: Link is about as smart as like your Ableist, because like his thing. This is very much a Hitchcock movie in the fact that Hitchcock also thought he was way smarter than he actually was. In a lot of ways, like
Yeah, it kind of just takes over a lot of the flaws of like Hitchcock storytelling.
yeah, because it's like presenting it's all about this incredible themes about like human nature and like what actually the human nature stuff they do is like just very like 101, like not even pop psychology, it's like 101, like apes, are they like us, like humans? What's humanity? Is what's the ultimate form of humanity, of the human being, like God, we literally people have been doing these things just fucking forever.
Yeah, like I said, it's very Freudian. It's like very much like, oh wow, humans are motivated by sex and food. It's just like monkeys, just like
Yeah,
apes.
they get it. It's smart. The monkey's horny for the lady because
Yeah,
human.
because we're almost the same.
I fuck like I like the movie. Link is like again like as like a good gothic trailer. I think it's fantastic. I just think the fucking themes are so fucking funny because it's like the same fucking. It's like the same thing. The same fucking thing with like most like Hitchcock movies. With like just with Hitchcock was just like present some like very like basic psychology shit and then pretend it's actually some deep smart commentary about
Yeah,
humanity itself.
sometimes it works, and sometimes it's just like you get the birds or Psycho.
Yeah, sometimes you get like Warp or like even Strangers on a Train and stuff like that. Then you get like, on the other hand, you get like the fucking birds or like, yes, like, it's really much more trying to be smart. And like, again, I think this movie works, but I don't think the themes are that interesting to like dig into. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, do you have, like, before we go to Monkey Science, do you think there's anything interesting team wise about Link as a thing?
Uh, Maybe if you dig deeper, like if you did like a full analysis, maybe you could like find out some hint at what the hell the professor was trying to do, except like trying to prove that apes are smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Monkey Science. So there's not a lot. Go ahead and say what you think the teams are in Monkey Science, because I think there's like a lot you can read into it.
Sometimes there's a love triangle between a guy, a woman, and a monkey.
Yeah,
No, I think there is multiple things going on, and it doesn't try to be too smart about it, which makes it better, I think, because it's more about like emotionality and like different like toxic relationships almost. Because like you have the relationship between the scientist and the main character, and the scientist is basically using him for an experiment, right?
absolutely. Yeah, so the main guy like his mother and stuff like that, etc.
Yeah. You have the like toxic relationship with the mother. You have like the wife that leaves him when he becomes paraplegic. There's like a lot about like these relationships that are bad. And then there's like the relationship he has with the monkey trainer that's actually like more healthy. Yeah. So there's a team there about like human relationships and also like monkey human relationships.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna ask.
Because like the monkey relationship also becomes toxic at the end.
I'm gonna ask you this just so we go with this discuss first, because I know a bit when we talk about this. How do we feel about this movie's relationship with disability?
For an 80s movies, it's actually 80s movie. It's not that bad because like the only people who are ableist are like the characters reacting to like the main
Yeah, I
character,
feel like I think there's
and it's not really portrayed as like, oh, they're being very funny or very smart here.
I feel like you can read maybe some stuff like, oh, this ability would turn you a bit weird and stuff like that. But I feel like you said, for an 80s movie, I feel like this still has issues, to be clear, but like it could be worse. Like the 80s.
Yeah, it definitely plays into like this like, oh, once you're like disabled, your life just is miserable because like the character tries to commit suicide at one point.
Yeah, and I feel like that comes more from like being a novel because like specifically there's like a lot of variation of like novels and like it's like a lot of like dramatic fiction presenting like disability as like a plot point, so you can have like a character be like angry at the state or stuff like that. It's like like a
Yeah.
greater thing. But I feel like there's like worse things, and I feel like you could go way worse in terms of like disability representation, like the fucking 80s.
Yeah, it's also kind of weird that he just gets undisabled at the end.
Yeah, it was just it also
That's also like that wouldn't like roll as easily off the tongue nowadays than in the 80s.
yeah, it very much feels like going, okay, here's your reward that you're not disabled.
Yeah, he gets rewarded by not being paraplegic anymore in
Yeah,
a way.
but yeah, I feel like the movie's much more strong when being about like toxicity, like when it really plays into like the melodramatic like comedy of like, oh, this guy's mom is very obsessed with him and like very abusive of him, like the relationship between the best cat or like the scientist cat you're talking about, like what specifically like the monkey, specifically like how the monkey just copies those relationships. Like the
Yeah, because like of the psychic link, it basically gets afflicted by all the anger that is in the main
also, I feel
character.
like maybe there's something there about how like humans, like how animals will copy humans and like their relationships, you know. I feel,
Yeah,
I feel like
like how dogs get a lot like their owners by how they treat them and
yeah, and it's
stuff.
interesting because it says a helper monkey, which apparently is an actual real thing. Like it's a bit thing like, okay, this thing may this animal may like this animal here to help this thing, just by being consumed. Now uh this animal here to help this person with this disability issue. Is so consumed by the toxicity around it that it becomes like everything around it and forms like a codependent relationship.
Yeah, because like the monkey isn't like the antagonist; it's more like a tragic character.
Yeah, like it's interesting. I feel like in terms of that. Especially also there's some light stuff about like scientists using animal like
Yeah,
in
yeah, they both
experiments.
have this Frankenstein-ish motif going on.
Which correct me if I'm wrong, but the 80s was like maybe it's more than 90s, but the 80s was like people started talking about more about like like animal treatment and stuff like like test animals and stuff, etc., etc.
Yeah, that movement definitely became pretty big towards the 80s because like environmentalism was really cranking up.
Yeah. So like, there's a lot of not a lot. Like there's some can wrestle with. I feel like this movie is kind of very meaty. It's very much like a novel adaptation. I will also say this as annual plays. I feel like Romero always knew how to use themes in a very interesting way. Like
Yeah, he's always good at the like thematic angle.
he's very good at mixing the thematic with like the more personal relationships of characters. So it always feels like
Yeah.
this natural blend of like character drama and character acting, writing, and just like much more like thematic work going around, even in like his Western movies. It's like I feel like there's a lot you can read into this that I feel like is just very good, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, cultural relevance link.
Wait, I'm,
Largely forgotten already.
yeah, unless you're like a weirdo like me, unless you're like some weirdo like obscure horror movies. I do feel like it's not that culturally relevant, but I feel like it's worth seeking out if you like just like gothic horror, like just weird experiments. If you like just weird movies and like stuff that
Yeah, or like Hitchcock style psychological thrillers and
yeah,
stuff.
like it's not relevant, but I feel like it's interesting as a way like of like like not to go into much this because but Hitchcock's like popularity is like and like not popularity, but like Hitchcock's influence on actual movie making was very much not the thing in the 80s. Like you did not have you had people who liked Hitchcock, of course, and influenced by him, but like people weren't making like Hitchcock style thrillers in the 80s at this point. It is an interesting way, like of like a guy's like past and present towards the director, like wasn't doing movies that we weren't doing anymore in the 80s.
Yeah, and I think one of the main reasons this isn't remembered at all is like the director said, Canon just completely canned this movie. It had like a limited theatrical release, and I think I'm not even sure if it had a VHS or something.
Yeah, it's like this was forgotten to like very recently. I feel like because it got like recently like a Blu-ray release from like one of the prestige like horror things.
It's partially the studio's fault, kind of.
Yeah, Monkey Signs. I think Monkey Signs is much more quality relevant. I feel like I've seen Monkey Sign parodies in media sometimes.
Yeah, and I heard the name a bunch before I watched
Like
this movie.
I feel like Romero is much more of a known director, and because of that, even his slightly more obscure movies will get remembered. Because it's like one.
Yeah. Also, you have Tom Savini, and people will like always seek out movies that have either Romero or Savini.
Yeah, so because it's by like a big director person, I feel like it's much more relevant like in the conversation. Like a lot of people, like there's people right now doing like Letterboxd, gonna watch every Romero movie and talking about Monkey Signs right now. So I feel like it's relevant. I think that's always like it's worth checking out. I feel like it's not one of the best like Romero movies. Maybe it's one of the weakest to be honest to me, but it's still pretty decent. I feel like it's also worth checking out. Movies by a director you like that maybe aren't the best things they did, because it's always interesting to see how they progress and like even how faith like not so sexual posits work. But, like I think it's also a decent movie overall. I think it's worth checking out.
Yeah.
Okay, cinematography.
Okay. Yeah, Link cinematography.
It's such surprisingly fucking well.
Yeah.
The first part. Let's talk about the weird camera angles. You know, not the weird camera angles, but like it fucking becomes like an FME video game for a bit.
Yeah, sometimes it has like that vibe. There's like parts of the movie where like you don't really understand why they like framed the shot that way or why they did the blocking the way they did.
Yeah.
And then other times when it's like out of the countryside, there's like really good like shots of the like UK Scottish border countryside.
Yeah, one day, when the monkeys like when Link is like chasing the protagonist, the scenes are very fucking beautiful because you just see a lot of like the border between like the UK, between like England and Scotland, and it's really fucking beautiful alongside the bay over the head, like just like showing everything while like their boat is just catching and trying to run away. It's like really good though. Like this, some very good cinematography, honestly. You know, like it really leans into like the gothic, like dramatic atmosphere of it all sometimes, and sometimes it's not night trap for the Sega CD.
Yeah, I wonder if like the cinematographer just had trouble framing dialogue scenes in a way that's interesting.
Yeah, like I could see it because a lot of the very early parts are like very dialogue heavy, and then it switches. As the movie switches, the cinematography has switches to something that's dialogue heavy and more like focus on the chase scene. But yeah, Monkey Signs.
I wanna add something.
Yeah.
Both of these movies do like monkey ape POV shots.
Yeah.
And they both use like a bit different techniques. And the thing that this movie does is it does like lower frame rate for the ape view. Mm-hmm. And I think the lower frame rate doesn't really work.
Yeah, I don't think
like it's not like making it scarier, and like monkeys don't see reality in lower frame rate. It doesn't really make much sense, you know.
That's how animals work, yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to comment on that because it's like a weird choice.
It is weird. Monkey Signs. I think it's decently shot. Okay. I think it's decent. That's not all. There's some shots where like it's pretty. That's what I can say about it.
Yeah, it also does the monkey POV, and it does it better because it's like more like the Evil Dead style POVs where it's like pretty fast and like pretty like interacting with the environment, like bushes and like stuff. And also there's that one shot where the monkey jumps over the sky and then a fucking lightning strike comes down behind the monkey, and it's like the most badass shit I ever seen.
There's some very good stuff in this. I feel like it's a
Yeah, there's that shot alone is like worth watching the movie.
I feel like there's some like not a lot to say. I feel like this is good. It's just a well shot movie. It's very good. I feel like.
Also, there's a good jump scare at the end.
Yeah, very good jump scare. Decently shot.
Yeah.
Audio design soundtracks. Doesn't the Link have like a weird soundtrack, or did I make that up?
Yeah, the Link soundtrack, we're gonna say who made it here real quick, was made by Jerry Goldsmith.
Oh yeah, the composer for Star Trek, The Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, and Congo also, which is also an ape movie.
The guy loves killer apes.
Yeah, I guess he just has a thing with that. But it's a very synth-heavy soundtrack. It has like a lot of synth drums and like synth chords going on.
Yeah.
And it's very, let's say it's kind of anachronistic to the setting of like an old English manor and apes.
Yeah, it's weird because it's doing like this Zaniel thing of like gothic romance, and then it's just like synth chords. We are now listening to like synth pop. We're now listening to some the Depeche Mode. Huh?
Yeah, it's really anachronistic, but I think it's not bad music.
Yeah,
it's just like weird fit.
It is works. It's like you said, like there was parts like during like the Sega Saturn, like the Sega CDS, like FMV cutscenes where the soundtrack was also synth. It was just very funny. But I think it works. I think the soundtrack mostly works. Monkey Signs.
It's serviceable, but like the only thing that's memorable is like the license song that plays when like the monkey at the end like gets tricked into being murdered. Like that is like a very sweet love song that plays.
Yeah, that's very good how it's used as like part of that comedy thing. Like,
yeah, the music is by David Shire, the original tracks.
Yeah. I feel like
who made the soundtrack for Short Circuit and Zodiac.
Yeah, icon. But yeah, I think it's decent music. I don't think there's a lot to say. Okay, do you have anything to else? No. Watch both movies. I feel like they're both good movies. Yeah.
Yeah, they're enjoyable if you like thriller or like scientific thrillers or Hitchcock stuff.
Okay.
Or Gothic stuff.
Okay.
It's all pretty good.
Okay, it's time to go. Before we sign off, I need to say we're not going to do the one on Amazon later because quick update because I don't want to be a scab to a strike in America. So fun fact. So because of the saga, because of the current actors and writers union strike. We will not cover what the stock work was. What stock work? It's things made with union members. Doesn't matter if it's old, new. That's currently on streaming services. Because it's on streaming services. This is not going to affect the podcast because most of the stuff we cover is like mostly very old, and other stuff that's not on streaming services and it's not considered psych work. I don't think you can watch officially Monkey Signs on anywhere. Did you look, Ludo?
Yeah, both of these movies are not on streaming right now, and they're both by studios that aren't that don't exist anymore.
Yeah. So we are safe. But when we do, if the strike's still going, when we do the one in Amazon later, we will just wait if it has like a thing that we consider strike work. We might delay the when we were gonna do an episode about Winfield and another Dracula movie that's gonna come out in October. That might get delayed. Most importantly, as a thing, as an episode of that, instead of we're gonna put out 2 podcasts this month. So it's this month 2 podcasts, right? Or like the next, or this.
End of this month we're gonna drop an episode with 2 different strike topic movies.
Yeah, we're gonna
from different eras.
We're gonna cover 2 movies. We're gonna cover Strike by Cesar Janstein, 1920s Soviet Union, And then Cat, which is a South Korean movie from like 2014, I think. It's
Yes.
going to talk about the labor strikes, talk about how labor depictions in media and film changed, and recommend 2 movies that are short and political. It's gonna be a good time. As always, you can find me on Twitter as Soul of Water. You can find me as on Blue Sky now as Soul of Water, host Soul of Water, Tumblr, Soul of Water, Twist, Soul of Water, Soul of Water. So much social medias.
Yeah, I made the opposite. I'm no longer on Twitter, so don't even look for me. I am gone.
You're on co-host, right?
I'm on co-host. I'm on Discord. I'm on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ludovico_limited. You're gonna find me.
Okay, see ya.
See y'all. Bye.